how I miss the giant screen of an IMAX. Hello, Namaskar, welcome, Swagatam. This time in Tinsel Talk, I will talk about the latest episode of the Disney Plus Marvel series Loki. The episode 5 is the penultimate episode and we are almost at the end of the journey of Loki, and what a journey it is turning out to be. Before I share some of my amazement, do keep in mind that this video will contain some spoilers for this episode as well as the MCU as a whole. The first thing that was going through my mind when the credits rolled after the episode 5 ended is that this should have been watched on a giant screen. The climax of this episode is a visual marvel, accentuated by a thrilling score by Natalie Holt. Without getting ahead of myself though, let me start with the beginning. And that beginning goes a bit earlier than this current episode. The previous episode, named Nexus Event, was something that got us thinking about the possibility of a connection between Loki and Sylvie. Yes, they belong together, but this is much more than a simple fling or a romance. If you don't mind the dramatic term, I would say they are destined to be together. But looking at it with a pragmatic perspective, it is apparent that in this story, the Loki that we know has an arc of transformation. Loki has always had an arc, a story, a journey. The old version of Loki that we know, who was murdered by Thanos, reached that destination after a series of tragedies, losing his mother, then his father, then his home world, all the while brooding about his purpose in this world. But that history is not the part of this Loki's life. This Loki, who is straight out of his defeat in New York, he is on a different path of self-discovery. And that self-discovery comes by him meeting Sylvie.
This isn't about you.
Right.
Surely she wanted to kill him, but honestly, who doesn't? But also, Sylvie was the one person who understood Loki more than anyone else, because she is Loki too. That unexpected and uncanny connection, along with the certain doom at the planet Lamentis 1, was somehow leading to a Nexus event. A Nexus event that eclipsed the already Nexus level destruction of that planet. That is what triggered all kinds of alarms in the TVA, and that is when Agent Mobius catches up to Loki and Sylvie, bringing them to custody. But that was in episode 4. That episode ended when Loki was pruned and Mobius was pruned, and it was revealed that the timekeepers were fake. What a roller coaster of a ride episode 4 had been. With that background, the episode 5 begins. Journey into mystery. We know whoever gets pruned and whatever gets reset by the TVA's timeline reset charges isn't actually destroyed. So in his pruning, Loki found his way to other Lokis who had previously been pruned from different variant timelines. It is in this weird limbo, or the void at the end of time as they call it, we see all the action of episode 5. All the journey into the mystery. The interaction between all the different kinds of Lokis is interesting to begin with, but soon becomes tedious and downright bad comedy by the time this guy shows up. At that moment, just as I was getting irritated by the episode, Sylvie joined the party, and that connection that I alluded to earlier became another apparent possibility. From then till the very last second of the episode, it was amazing. And it would also be amazing if you take a moment to subscribe to my channel, The Versatile Doctor. Your support is what makes this channel go. Moving on, we can't talk more about this episode without mentioning the Easter eggs. This void, which is where all the alternate timelines and variants are exiled, very understandably is filled with things that we call Easter eggs. And among the Easter eggs littered all over this episode are the famous Thanos helicopter and Frog Thor. Yes, you heard it right. Frog Thor is in a blink it and you miss it cameo, and that is one of the many things that we can dissect and speculate about from this episode. But again, you cannot make out the Frog Thor unless you are watching the episode on a crazy big screen. I couldn't make it out on my TV, but when I rewatched the episode in 4K Well, lo and behold, something I could never ever dream to see was right there. It stands to reason though. We can have an alligator Loki, so Frog Thor shouldn't have been too far behind. T365 or Frog Thor is right there with Mjolnir or a variant of Mjolnir, but nothing else happens. Probably this Thor isn't worthy yet. Also, there is an insane number of lunch plates. You know, the disposable plates with sections for each item? I don't know if this is an Easter egg or a clever nod to the supposedly environment friendly plates and how they don't decompose as effectively as they're supposed to, but on to some more interesting stuff. The Dark Aster or a variant of it is seen crashed and run over by plants and vegetation. Do you remember the Dark Aster? The Kree warship helmed by Ronan the Accuser that we saw in the Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel? But the most relevant Easter egg, I'd say, is hidden in the opening tracking shot of the episode. In the mid-credit scene in episode 4, we had seen that the setting of this void is in New York City. In the background is a dilapidated Avengers Tower. In episode 5, however, it is revealed that the whole city is not a future dystopian version of New York, but apparently a New York from a pruned timeline. The figure that is supposed to be the Avengers Tower has a writing on it, and it is neither Stark nor Avengers. But in the design of Stark Industries logo, there is this weird word written, Kang, Q-E-N-G. Chew on that, my dear friends, because maybe a few of you may know Kang may be a reference to Kang Enterprises, which is owned by none other than Kang the Conqueror. As you can see, there is a plethora of trivia and stuff to explore in this episode, but this is not the best part of the episode. While Mobius, Loki and Sylvie are reunited in the void along with classic old costume Loki, child Loki and Gator Loki, that is where the real adventure begins. The connection between Loki and Sylvie is explored a bit more in a sweet and magically romantic scene that is a prelude to the climax. While on the other hand, Judge Ravonna Renslayer's true motives and her next step are not clear. It can be assumed that she will converge with the others in that void at the end of time soon to bring her arc to completion. But before that, as Loki and Sylvie decide to fight side by side in order to find out what lies beyond the supposed end of time, they come face to face with a huge, gigantic monster, which is basically a guard dog. What follows is a sequence that was visually and musically one of the best scenes I have enjoyed in a very, very long time. When you think about it, the actors Tom Hiddleston, Sophia di Martino and Richard E. Grant, they had the least to do in making the scene amazing. It was almost entirely CG. That is one hell of a CG sequence though, and gigantic in proportion that literally made the actors feel minuscule. Whatever I can say about their fight with this monster will fall short of doing this scene justice. You must watch it. There is Loki magic and there is the Sylvie connection. There is a moment of self-sacrifice in the scene, but well, we all know that death isn't permanent in the MCU. In fact, the character himself described in boasting details how he escaped death at the hands of Thanos in his own timeline. So I wouldn't worry about that death at all. What is interesting is that as Loki and Sylvie manage to subdue the guard dog, a doorway opens up with probably a lot of answers for most of our questions to be revealed in the finale. I say most of because I'm certain that there will still be more unanswered questions. In true MCU fashion, the most prominent one of the questions that I can think of is from Sylvie's original plan. Back in episode 2, Sylvie sent dozens of time detonators to unknown temporo-geographical locations. Where did they go? What was their purpose? We haven't heard anything about that. But anyway, with bated breath, I am waiting for the Loki finale. How about you? How excited are you for the finale? Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This is all from my side for today. I shall be back next week with the discussion of the finale. If you like this video, please do leave a thumbs up and share this video with all your friends. And if you don't agree with my opinions or simply wish to speak your mind, jump right down into the comment section and share whatever your thoughts are. As always, I'm eagerly looking forward to your feedback and comments. Join me on social media to keep the discussion going. This is Dr. Abhinav Atul signing off. It is my pride and privilege to be able to connect with you through this video. Namaskar. While you're still on YouTube, how about you check out this video which YouTube thinks you would like, or check out my WandaVision series discussion.